Ever find yourself reaching for a big plate of comfort food when you're feeling down? Turns out there might be a scientific reason for that.
It's fascinating, right?
It really is. So today we're doing a deep dive on psychobiotics.
Yeah. We're talking about how the bacteria in our gut can actually impact our mental well-being.
Okay, so probiotics, those are familiar, but psychobiotics, that's a new one for me.
Right. Most people have heard of probiotics, but psychobiotics are a specific type of probiotic that have been shown to have a positive effect on mental health.
So are they like specially designed to target those issues?
Exactly. Think of them as probiotics with like a special ops training for your brain.
Okay, I like that. So we're talking about more than just a placebo effect here. There's some actual biology at play.
Absolutely. The research on this is really incredible. Essentially, these good bacteria in our gut, they can actually influence our brain chemistry.
Wow.
Yeah. Specifically, the production of key neurotransmitters.
So like serotonin, dopamine, those are the big ones, right? I know those are important for mood, but maybe a little refresher on exactly what those do.
For sure. So serotonin is kind of like your internal chill pill, helps regulate mood, sleep, even appetite.
Okay.
And then you've got dopamine, which is more like the motivation molecule. That's what drives reward and pleasure. Yeah. And the fact that the bacteria in our gut can actually impact the production of these is huge.
Yeah, that's wild. So we're talking about potentially making some pretty significant changes just by influencing our gut bacteria.
It seems that way. And what's really interesting is that it's not just limited to, those everyday struggles with mood. This research on psychobiotics is starting to show a lot of promise for people who are dealing with more severe mental health challenges.
Like what?
We're talking OCD, even PTSD, some pretty compelling stuff.
Okay, so we're going beyond just feeling a little down. We're talking about potentially having a real impact on some serious conditions.
Right, exactly.
So how does that even work?
Well, a lot of it comes down to this thing called the gut-brain axis. Have you heard of that before?
Yeah, I have, but honestly, I'm a little fuzzy on what it actually means.
Yeah, so basically it's like this communication highway between your gut and your brain.
Okay.
And it's a two-way street. Okay. So a stressed gut can send signals to the brain, which can actually lead to things like anxiety or low mood. And then on the flip side, a calm mind can actually have a really positive impact on your digestion.
Huh. Okay, I get it. It's a two-way street. So where do these psychobiotics fit into all of this?
Well, they have the potential to act like traffic controllers, on that gut-brain highway, helping to regulate the flow of information and potentially easing some of those more severe symptoms.
So by influencing our gut, we could see positive changes in the brain, even for complex conditions like OCD and PTSD.
It's pretty amazing stuff, right?
It really is.
Yeah. And the article goes into some really interesting specifics about how this might actually be happening.
Okay, yeah, let's dive into that. Which one do we want to start with? OCD. Okay, so OCD, we're talking about intrusive thoughts, compulsions, that feeling of anxiety that just seems to spiral.
Right, and it can be so debilitating.
Absolutely. So how could psychobiotics even begin to help with something as complex as that?
Well, a lot of it goes back to those signals we were talking about, traveling along the gut-brain axis.
Right.
Some researchers believe that imbalances in gut bacteria could actually be contributing to those signals misfiring.
Okay.
Leading to, that kind of overactive fear and anxiety response that we see in OCD.
So you're saying that if we can change the types of bacteria in our gut, we might be able to kind of dial down that overactivity?
Potentially, yeah.
Has there been any research to support that?
There have been some really interesting studies, yeah.
Okay.
Some have shown certain psychobiotic strains can actually reduce anxiety-like behaviors in animals.
Interesting. So they're testing this in animal models.
Right. And even more than that, they've seen improvements in cognitive flexibility too.
Okay, so that's with animals. What about humans?
Yeah, of course.
Is there any evidence that this translates to, real-world results?
Human studies are still kind of in the early stages.
Right.
But there have been some small trials that have shown some pretty encouraging results.
No, really? Like what?
So, for example, one study found that people with OCD who took a specific psychobiotic supplement, I think it was for 12 weeks, they actually experienced a significant reduction in their OCD symptoms compared to those who took a placebo.
Wow, that's promising.
It is.
So it sounds like while we definitely need more research, there's a real possibility that psychobiotics could be a game changer for people with OCD.
Absolutely. It's definitely an area worth keeping an eye on.
For sure.
And what's so fascinating about this is that The potential benefits of psychobiotics, they extend way beyond just OCD.
Yeah, you mentioned PTSD earlier.
Right, and that's another incredibly complex condition.
Definitely. So let's talk about that. PTSD, we're talking about flashbacks, nightmares, hypervigilance.
It's awful.
It's like your body is stuck in survival mode, even though the danger has passed.
Yeah, exactly.
So how could psychobiotics possibly help with that?
Well, remember how we were talking about those key neurotransmitters, serotonin and dopamine?
Right.
They play a huge role in regulating your mood, your stress response, even things like fear processing.
Got it.
And psychobiotics have been shown to influence their production.
Okay. Yeah, I'm starting to see the connection here. So by promoting a healthier balance of bacteria in the gut, we might be able to better regulate those crucial brain chemicals that are often out of whack in people with PTSD.
That's the idea. And it's not just about those specific neurotransmitters either.
Okay.
The article mentions that psychobiotics might also help reduce inflammation in the body,
Oh, interesting.
which is often elevated in people with PTSD.
Yeah, I've been hearing more and more about the link between inflammation and mental health these days.
It's a hot topic for sure.
So it seems like psychobiotics might actually be working on multiple levels to kind of address those really complex symptoms of PTSD.
It's definitely possible. And it gets even more interesting.
How so?
Well, you know how PTSD often goes hand in hand with other issues, right?
Yeah, like what?
Sleep problems,
Real-
chronic stress.
Real-
Well, there's evidence suggesting that psychobiotics might have a positive impact on those as well.
Seriously, so we're not just talking about targeting specific mental health conditions here, but potentially improving our overall well-being on multiple fronts.
Exactly. It all goes back to that interconnectedness we keep talking about.
That gut-brain connection.
Right. When you nurture a healthy gut microbiome,
Mhm.
you're essentially supporting the optimal functioning of, multiple systems in your body,
Mm.
including the brain.
This is incredible. It really is. It's like this whole other world has opened up just by thinking about the bacteria in our gut.
I know. It's pretty remarkable.
It really is. And the article mentioned a few tools that are out there to kind of help people navigate this whole new frontier of gut health and mental well-being.
Yeah.
They talked about this app, the Pear Clinic app.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of that.
I was curious about that. What do you know about it?
From what I understand, it's really cool. It helps you track your mental health,
Okay.
create a personalized care plan, and even see how different treatments or lifestyle changes are affecting you.
Oh, wow.
So if you start, incorporating psychobiotics, you can actually track to see if it's making the difference.
So you could see in real time if those changes to your diet or if taking probiotics is impacting your mood, your sleep, even your OCD or PTSD symptoms.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah,
It's really about empowering people to take control of their mental health.
I love that.
Yeah.
But before everyone runs out and buys every probiotic they can find, it's important to remember that this is still a pretty new area of research.
Oh, absolutely. We still need a lot more research. Yeah.
So while those early findings are incredibly promising, it's crucial to talk to a healthcare professional before making any big changes.
100%.
Whether it's your diet or your supplement routine, it's always best to consult with your doctor.
Right. They can help you figure out the best approach for you.
Exactly, because psychobiotics aren't a magic bullet, and everyone's microbiome is different.
So true.
Working with a doctor or a registered dietitian who understands this stuff is key.
Couldn't agree more.
It really makes you think, if something as small as the bacteria in our gut can have such a big impact on our mental well-being, what else are we just starting to understand about this whole mind-body connection?
It's incredible, right? Like, we always knew there was a connection, but now we're really starting to unlock the how and the why.
Exactly. And it just shows you we're not just these isolated systems. Everything is connected.
Totally. And it really highlights how important it is to take a holistic approach to our health.
Yeah.
We can't just focus on one part in isolation.
It's all connected.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this article from Pear Clinic, it really gives us a lot to think about.
It really does. So if you're listening and this whole psychobiotic thing has piqued your interest,
Yeah,
do your research. Talk to your doctor
always good advice.
before you make any major changes.
Right, because what works for one person
Right.
might not be the right fit for another.
For sure. Yeah. But I mean, hey, adding some fermented foods to your diet probably wouldn't hurt, right?
Actually, delicious and potentially beneficial, right?
Right. There you go. Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive. Thanks for joining me as we explored the world of psychobiotics and the amazing gut-brain connection.
My pleasure. Always happy to geek out about this stuff.
Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and take care of those amazing microbiomes.